Okay, today I'm going to make a herringbone stitched cobra in two colors. Sean made a video based off this design in a single color, but I've had a lot of people ask how to do it in two colors, and so we'll try it. So first thing I need to know, my cobra, the way I weave them, is 0.33 thick. And to determine the length of the bracelet that I'm going to make, so I've got a 6-inch wrist that I'm making this for. So we're going to add pi times that 0.33. In other words, I'm going to go 6 plus, and that comes out to be 1.04 inches. I'm just going to make that 1. So we're going to come up with a 7-inch bracelet. And I've already set my jig 7 inches. So the next question I need to answer is how much of this cord that I'm going to need. And for the way that I weave the cobra, very tight, it takes 4.5 inches each color for a 2-color bracelet, or in this case, 9 inches for a single color bracelet. And my bracelet is 7 inches. And then I'm going to add my core strands. So I've got 7 inches, and I'm going to use 4 cores for this. So that becomes 28 inches. 9 times 7 is going to become 63 for a total 91 inches, just over 7.5 feet. I've already cut that, and I've flattened my ends so that they go in the buckle nicely. There's my buckle. I'm going to take the center, and I'm going to shove it up through the middle. Grab the ends through the loop, pull them through. Make sure they're even. And then pull it tight. That's going to be on the back side. Okay, we have this on our buckle. Got that on the bottom. I'm going to click that into my jig. I'm going to bring this a little forward so we can see what's going on. I'm going to take the left side and go down into the buckle. I'm going to cross over the top and up from the bottom through that loop. Okay, I'm going to pull the core here tight. Do the same thing with the right side. Go from the top down. Out the center. Over the top. And up through the back side. I am going to remove that from the jig just to expedite this a little bit. Up through from the back. Okay, once that's coming through Go through the loop, pull that tight. And we've got our two cows hitches. So I've got my two cow hitches. I've turned my jig around because this is going to be the end I work from because of the 4 core strands. And what I'd want to do is I want to send one side from the top down, and then the other side I'm going to go bottom up. So now we have our 4 core strands. One going down, one coming up. I want to take this one that's going down, is going to come across the top. This one's going to go over that, under the back side, and through the loop. There we go. The reason I do that is it doesn't cause the bracelet to twist on the buckle as it's coming through. Sometimes if you put them both the same direction, it just causes it to go a little funky. Okay, so this is just a standard Cobra. My top cord's going to remain my top cord. And it's just going to make a Cobra all the way down. So we'll continue doing that. And once I get the Cobra bracelet made to the end, then we'll chat some more. I have finished making my Cobra. I am going to take it out of the jig here. As you can see, we've gotten it down to where there's not much scrap at all. And I'm going to show you what I do with that. We're going to use some of that scrap. Actually, you know what? Let's pull everything tight. And we can make one more knot on here. Okay, what I'm going to do, I'm going to now take these ends that I flattened earlier, and we're going to heat them up. And in this case, I like these homemade fids that I have made out of binding posts because they screw on really nicely. Make sure we're on the back side of the bracelet, and I don't have enough scrap to do this all in one move, so I've got it screwed on. I'm going to take it off. We're going to feed it through the back side. Just a little ways down the bracelet here. Then we'll reattach. The fid. that down through. This way we don't have any burn marks right there. Now let's do the same thing with this side. Okay, and I know this one's definitely not going to be long enough to do, so I'm going to take it out, feed back down the channel we just made. Okay, and we put that bad boy in the needle. Sometimes in my efforts to not have too much scrap, I inadvertently make things harder than they have to be on occasion. But if you're making a bunch of these bracelets, it's good to figure out. And I didn't really talk about how I came up with these numbers. I know a couple of my other videos, and in the future I'll do one live instead of in pictures. But what I do is I would make a portion of the weave that I'm intending to make. I would mark the end of the cord where it comes out of the weave, measure back an inch, mark it, unweave it, and then measure from where it's marked to where you unweave it. And that's where I came up with this number. Four and a half inches on each side for the cobra for each side. But in this case, when I'm doing just one color, we'll do 9. And this thing is not wanting to turn. The other downside of tying rather tightly. There we go. Getting your fib to turn. I'm sure this is a highly compelling video to watch. Okay. So now we're going to pull the needle the rest of the way through. And that one happens to be short enough that it stayed back there. I don't have to cut it at all. And I may feed this needle again. My goal is to not have any ends visible or anything that's going to chafe. If I cut this off and melt it there, sometimes it leaves it a little funky. So let's feed that back side a little bit more. Sometimes it's a little slow going. feed this through a couple different times, but in the long run, it's well worth it. Okay, one more. We have a finished Cobra for a 6-inch wrist. Ooh. Let me shut these lights off here. So when I first started playing around with this stitch, I was basing it off of a chart that I found on a shoelace tying site. Oh, don't go dark on me. And when Sean wanted to make the video, everybody wanted a name. I found this. This is an embroidery stitch, and I thought it looked similar. So that's why we've called this the herringbone stitch. It's based on the herringbone embroidery stitch here. Here at the bottom, what we're doing today, the double herringbone stitch, or they call it the Indian herringbone stitch, and they're interlaced. So we'll see how that goes. Turn the lights back on. And this is what I was talking about earlier we're going to do, because I don't know how much microcord this is going to take, and I don't want to have too much left over. So you find my marker here. I've made a little bit of a stitch. It's pink on red. Might be a good idea for Valentine's Day, and then interweave with the second color white. I actually do have two colors of pink. I got hot pink and this pink. Okay, I'm going to mark this. This is just scrap cord. So I'm going to mark it. Typically, I would wrap a piece of tape around here, but this is already too short to do anything with. So then we take and figure out about where an inch is going to be. And basically, it's pretty much just one set of stitches. So I'm going to go all the way back to here with it. I'd rather have a little bit of scrap than not cut enough. And so I'm going to make another little mark right there. And then we just take the cord back out. All right, bracelet out of the way. So we've got my two marks. I've got about 6 inches. My one mark here, my other mark is right there at about 5 7/8. So we're going to call it 6. So 6 inches. My bracelet is a 6-inch bracelet. And I've got two colors, so I'm going to need 2 pieces. So let's get that out of here. I used Permalock needle. This one I got at Tandy Leather. This one I got at Hobby Lobby. Similar. This one was a lot substantially cheaper at Hobby Lobby. I don't know how well you can see the two tips. This is more of a James Blunt, and this one is nice and sharp. So there can be a bad habit of piercing the paracord if you're using that one. And also, I don't know how well the camera's picking that up. There's a slight bend in this one. This needle is not as strong as this one, but I like to have two, and this can easily be remedied by filing that point down. I just haven't done it yet. So we're going to take, just like I did on the other end, melt that, moisten my fingers, and we're going to pull it. And I didn't do it fast enough. It solidified. So this is the fun part, is trying to get this just right where it'll fit in these little needles. It's kind of a booger. Let me see if I can, if I zoom in, it's wanting to pick up. That's not going to pick it up. It's too far away. But you can see it's got a little bit of a point to it. And it might still be too wide right there. Nope, it fit in there. Okay. Sometimes these needles can be quite the challenge to get them to go. And see, this one is going to be, it is a little bit wide. It acts like it threads on, but then the first time you go to pull it through, it's going to pop right off. So ow. And you run the risk of burning yourself. I've got my needle, got my cord through it, and on this end I've just got a little bit, I've melted, so it's got a little bit of a ball. I'm going to turn the back bracelet to the back side, and it doesn't take much to lock it in, so I'm just going to go a couple stitches back. Lock it in on the back side. Now we just got to get it to come out to the front. And we're going to come out and just go across to our stitch. So I haven't actually watched Sean's video on how he does this, but this is how I do it. Is I'll go across the bracelet and through under the paracord here. And I take my needle, I go under the cord, and it makes a wee little loop here. Then I'm going to come back under the paracord, keep my loop tight. Just like that. Now, one thing you'll notice when we start doing this in two colors is one side's going to be an exaggerated angle and the other side's almost going to go straight across. And we're going to bury the one that goes straight across with the second color. We're going to keep the angle as the primary in your face. I'll make sure we don't twist it. Get it in there. Okay. Through the paracord. Make a little loop. I'm liking the white with the red. You could make this like a Minnie Mouse bracelet. Mickey Mouse. Again, this would be good for Valentine's Day. This particular case, it's going to be college colors, red, white, and black. And I don't remember the team. And I'm doing this on my phone, so I can't really look to find out who. But once you get a rhythm going, this goes pretty quickly. Just make sure we're not getting twisted. Have a bad habit of getting the paracord stuck between the buckles. Oh, don't get her twisted in that either. But once we get this thing going, it generally goes pretty quick. A lot quicker than the stitched fishtail. And I have plans for making another one of those, so we'll make a video of how I do the pinstripe, the double stitched fishtail. I recently changed jobs. I became a supervisor in the department I'm in, and want to make me a new bracelet. I still have it match my safety gear that I have to wear if I go out on the rail, but maybe do a little bit different color than what I've got. Maybe not quite as, what would the word be? Gaudy, loud, obnoxious. Nothing quite. This one was my, hey, let's make the loudest, most obnoxious bracelet I can make. But more professional. That's probably the word I want to use. Something that's not going to be quite so loud. And I'm kind of liking this, you know, what I think this is going to turn out to look like. This is going to be my, if I was making this for me, this could be Eddie Van Halen's Frankenstein guitar. It was just Eddie Van Halen's birthday about 2-3 days ago. Today's what? I don't know what date today is. 27th of January. You could Google that and find out when Eddie Van Halen's birthday is. He just had a birthday a couple days ago. So if I was doing this for me, that's what I'd call it. But again, and this is not for me, so I don't get to name it. I'll find out what the college team is while I get the black striping. And I'm all excited. This is my first use, brand new black microcord. There's the factory end right there. I had to go a 5-hour drive just to get this. Well, no. We were on our way to Vegas, and I stopped, and I did buy that on our way, but that's not the reason. I didn't go 5 hours just to get that, but just like when I was a mechanic and I bought my toolbox, and I used to tell my wife that it was a $4,000 hat that the Snap-on guy gave me, because that's how much I spent on the toolbox. It's kind of true, but it's not really the truth. I think this is coming along nicely. And if the my time lapse, if my time lapse section of when I made the Cobra works out, okay, we're nearing the end here of my stitch, and looks like we were going to have plenty of cord left. Next time we'll know we can modify, maybe with the black, we'll take that number and cut it down just a little bit. And that's how I have perfected some of my numbers. I've gotten really good, like the Cobra, and when I make the fishtail, you'll see I don't have any scrap, speakable, appreciable scrap. I still have enough that I can stitch with this, which I like, so it is worth sometimes having a little bit of scrap so that I can continue stitching. If you get it too tight, you wouldn't be able to make a stitch. This last one's a little funky because we took it around the back to finish off the bracelet, so it just makes it a little hard to get in there, but I'm going to come back up through. And then we're going to go right there down the middle. And yeah, what do we got left over? Good 8 inches. Right on the 8-inch mark. So we're going to see what we can do. Maybe make 30 inches. But I don't want to cut myself too short, because like I say, then it's hard to make these stitches. So maybe we'll go 32 with the black and see how that works out. It should give me 4 inches of scrap. Okay, and I did just like I did at the start. Took it around the back side, down a few stitches here. And that's less than I had the last one I made by 2 inches, but this was also a lot longer bracelet. So there's the white. Okay, ooh, here's my black, and I'm not quite as ready to go as I thought I was. It fell right out of the needle. Ooh, and I'm going to have to stop to fix dinner here pretty quick. All right, so here's my black. We're going to do the same thing with it that we did with the white. Start a couple stitches back, feed it up through. And then we're going to come from the back side up through the front. And like I mentioned, I want this long diagonal to be the prominent color. So we're going to go underneath the long diagonal. Make sure my cord is straight. Again, watch the buckle. Take that just like we did with the white. Go under that cord. Make our loop. Loop it up and around. And while I was getting the black ready, I looked up the information. Apparently this is the cardinal colors. So I guess it's not a college team. I'm assuming. I don't know. The only Cardinals I know of, I think, is baseball. I'm showing my ignorance here. I need to just go get on my bike and ride rather than talk. If you want to talk bicycles, you want to talk shooting sports, reloading, I can talk all day, but team sports, I don't know a whole lot. The teams, I do know who's playing in the Super Bowl in a couple weeks. It'll be Carolina Panthers and the Denver Broncos. 2016 Super Bowl on February 7th, I believe. But I had to Google that to find out. And I'll be working that night, so I get to miss it out. Whoops, I just screwed up. See that? I want the diagonal to be my prominent color. I get talking and I screw up. So we want to make sure that goes under diagonal. Okay. But there's plenty of variations. Try around, play around with the different stitch. And I did it again. No, I didn't. I want the black on top this time. The black's the diagonal. Okay, we're good. Like I was saying, the only reason that this is called the herringbone is I found that herringbone embroidery stitch. There's some interesting things on the embroidery website. I've played around with this stitch. One of them involves coming back with another color and stitching around the center of these two colors. I've played around with that a little bit, but the wife kind of cautioned a little bit about stitching just for the sake of stitching. If it doesn't look good, don't do it. And so I haven't played too much with that, but take a look at the embroidery sites, get some ideas, play around, inspire one another. That's what this is all about. Have some fun. Okay, this is my diagonal, so I want to go underneath. Make sure the cord's straight. Again, I think that looks awesome, like Eddie Van Halen's guitar. That's another thing we could talk all day about. You want to talk guitars? Different guitar players? I don't know why, but I can tell you, you name an 80s hair metal band, and I can tell you who played guitar for them. And which is unusual because in the 80s, I listened to a lot of Led Zeppelin, The Cream, Jeff Beck. I wasn't into hair metal. Why do I know that J.J. French played guitar for Twisted Sister? Never owned a Twisted Sister album in my life, but I know that. Why do I know George Lynch played for Dokken? I don't know. Again, not into Dokken, but I know that. All right. Somehow that one is not very tight, so we want to pull out the slack before I get too far. There we go. Keep things nice, uniform, looking good. I have to quit here in a minute and cook some dinner. New adventures with the new stove. Try a new recipe. Nothing too exciting tonight. It's going to be, what's it going to be? Beef something. The beef with the mushrooms and the noodles. I don't think it's cacciatore. That sounds too Italian. Nobody'd like that. I would. The rest of the family won't eat stuff like that. Gotta go under the diagonal. We're just about done. I'm sure this is very compelling internet video to watch. Listening to me ramble on thusly. I could sing a song. Tonight there's gonna be a jailbreak somewhere in this town. I just watched The History of the Eagles on Netflix yesterday. Glenn Fry passed away not too long ago. Last week or so, him, David Bowie, or Bowie, David Bowie's drummer. There's been a lot so far this year, 2016. We're only in it a couple weeks. We've lost some good musicians. Ziggy played guitar. I liked some of David Bowie's older stuff, particularly Ziggy, Stardust, and the Spiders from Mars. Okay, somehow loose. Can't let it get loose. I think that looks pretty awesome. See, I should be doing some Van Halen instead of singing Thin Lizzy and Ziggy. Again, right through the middle, just because it's nice place to end. It'll be hidden under the wrist anyway. You won't see that. So. Okay, run this down the back side a few stitches. Okay, these micro needles sometimes can get, I could say this one's more blunt than the other one, but it'll still, on occasion, jab into the paracord. Take my ginormous scissors here, cut that sucker right there nice and tight. So I think I need to write this down, put this in my notes, that we're going to say where's a spot I can write? Well, I can adjust the camera to where you can see. There we go. Double herringbone. So I need to figure out 32 instead of 36. And for a 6-inch bracelet, that gives me 5.333 per inch. Since that's a little difficult, let's clear that out. We'll go 5 1/4. 6 would have equaled 31 1/2, so that would have been a 1/2 inch shorter, which I've got about 2.5 inches of spare, so that would have left me with 2 inches of scrap. I like it. So we'll call that 5.25 inches per inch. I'm going to write that down because I don't like wasting a bunch of scrap, especially the micro cord. If you look in my little bucket, you can see all this wasted little bits of micro cord. I've got plenty of wasted cord to practice with. I don't need any more. All right, well, there it is, all finished off. All that's left is to edit the video and take a glamour shot. So we'll work on that, clean up the mess.